In today's video, we take this worn out Coronet Caravan. Now this project takes a massive left turn and we strip this whole thing down and rebuild it. And we turn it into this absolute masterpiece. So let's get to it. All right, just picking up the van. Can't film too much, but just put a new jockey wheel on and some wheels. So we'll get this thing home. So initially the van was actually free. It would just need to come off the property. So I said, yes, why not? I'll give this thing a go. Initially I thought we're just going to put some new studs in and call this thing done with some new electrical and things and just reuse the outer cladding. But after looking at this thing, you can see the roof's in pretty bad shape. The sides were all in bad shape and I'd have to try and get new cladding and replace it and sort of make it look vintage, which just wasn't going to work. So after looking at the frame, the demolition process started, and what fun that was. Alright, so we got this thing completely stripped out and it has showed a little bit of damage. So we were expecting down the bottom corner here, this is pretty common for vans to be rotted out there. Also this front corner too. So by this time I decided, you know what, let's just rip all the sides off and get down to the bare chassis so we can rebuild this thing up. So pulling all the cladding off and ripping all the timber walls out was really easy. I was actually going to use timber at this time, but decided against that because I don't really know how to work with timber, and steel is just much easier, so that's why we went that way. Righto, so we towed it out next to the old shipping container here. We're going to do some work out on it. So it's very scary looking at it like this, but it's so much better because we can replace all this rotted flooring and stuff. Our frame underneath is really in good condition and it's nice and thick, so we're going to be good there. So here starts a lot of the crucial chassis work. So we have to get this thing right. So we've got a new drawbar on here. Went a little bit overkill with it, but it's very good. And we extended the front a little bit to sort of match what the original profiles were. I raised the axle up additionally, so 75mm, and this gave this thing a really good stance, and we got the axle all centered and welded on with the spring hangers and everything. And here it is, flipped back over outside, looking really good. This was really the funnest part. We got to start building the walls. So we got the final shape of this thing laid out on the ground, and we just made a template for the other side. But pretty much I got to look at another van and sort of roughly do the same sort of shape and model it off that. So we did our own little few designs and tweaks and stuff, and this thing turned out really good. I actually think it looks really modern. We've got the nice steep departure angle on the back, and here it is welded on, and man, I was super excited to see it at this point. And there you have it. Second one mounted up. I'm trying to keep all the weight over the axle so we can balance this thing properly so we don't overweight our ball weight. So with the chassis painted and the water tanks in, decided to start on the flooring. So we're going to lay that down, cutting it out here. I used 17mm plywood flooring. Oh wow. That's what I'm talking about. So I flipped the flooring sheets over so we can paint the underside in a waterproof membrane, a bitumen membrane. I'd rather doing this than using marine ply just because I've seen that stuff mold up before. So this is used on retaining walls and I think bathrooms and things like that. So this sealed every nook and cranny of the sheets and worked out really well with 2 coats. Now the product I used to glue this down was from Adseal. It was a multi-grip product and it worked well with the bitumen. Everything else like Sika and all that wasn't going to work. That's just a little tip for you guys. But we're getting the sheet screwed down and flooring finished. Alright, we've finished up the flooring. Now to seal up every screw head so you don't feel it underfoot. Screwed on our first bit of Hitch moulding, just trying to get a little bit of practice up. Just glued it on with the Soudal Carbon stuff. This stuff was recommended by Soudal products. Let's get this first sheet laid over the first sheet was really the most important. It sort of sets you for going along the rest of the way with the Hitch moulding. It squares it all up, so we had to get this thing right. Alrighty, so here we have it. The roof is pretty much complete. Too much of this because it was just too hard to get up there and show you. But we've got some weights Gluing on the first front part. This sheet, back sheet here, we've left. So now onto the sides, we're starting with the H moulding, just screwed that on, and then the sheet goes down and sits in it and gets glued everywhere. Here's the final piece of composite going on. So finally onto the first piece of checker plate, and we're starting with the front of the van. Everywhere gets a good sand just to help the glue stick. Turned out really nice, and I wanted to follow that checker around the sides and all the way down the back. Now we're just cutting out the doorway, so we're going to get the radius along the top correct, and we can slot the door in. Alrighty, so we've got the door fitted up completely and it looks really good. Opens up quite nicely. I've just got like 3 screws in it for now. So here we are trimming off the little edge I left all the way around the side of the van. It was just there as a bit of excess, so we've flush trimmed that down with the router. This is just a little piece of that Jrail we're going to use. We'll have to hammer that all the way around. So anyone that's done this stuff knows this does not like to bend properly, and especially with our tight angles. So unfortunately just had to cut little slits in the sides, but we got the moulding on. This just caps off the edge of the van so we can seal it all up and make it nice and tidy and put the rubber insert in. So here it is all the way on, and now I'm running a bead of that polyurethane down the side of the van and sealing it all up. Onto the entry. Now I've got that located in place. We're going to give it a quick scuff up and give it a coat of black tread paint. I didn't like the shininess of the checker, so yeah, black spray paint, and this gave it a nice textured look and feel so you weren't going to slip off if it's wet. Just using plenty of that Soudal glue we've used on the entire van build, and then installing some sealed rivets all the way around. Using Bostik mastic to seal the door in place. This stuff doesn't harden, so you can always remove the door later on. So the door's all fitted up, looks really good. I've actually caulked around the edges too, just to make sure it's definitely not going to leak. But it's looking really good, and I have also sealed along the edge and up the side slightly where the where the step box is. Onto the lighting, I just used Nava lights all the way around. I'm probably going to change these side ones. I wasn't too happy with how big they were, but they definitely do the job. And we've got some nice front ones on the top here, and the rear ones, I'm really happy with those. I decided to wire all the interior lights as one just to make it easier for when I got outside. So we've got the channels ran here just for the cables and things, all finished up. And they actually work, what a bonus. Finally the day we were going to cut huge holes in the side of our van. Righty, let's test fit a window. Oh yeah, that's nice. What a fantastic addition these were to the van. They look really nice and are super modern. So here I'm using a smoke machine to leak test the Caravan, and there was no major leaks, so really good. So for those that don't know, this just slots in fairly simply into there. This is probably the easiest part of the whole job. Super exciting moment. Finally the day we're going to get this thing outside. So here it was a little tricky. I had to make some little wheels to get this thing out because the roller door was really close to the top of the roof of the van, but we got it out. Righto, let's get this plastic wrap off. I've just got to peel off some more, but wow, I'm happy with the colour. So this is where the hard work really paid off. Got to look at this thing outside and look at the colour. Hadn't seen that colour with the wrap over it in the sunlight, and it just popped. It is time for its first wash. So a little nerve-wracking soaping this thing up and drenching it in water. I was thinking there's definitely going to be a leak, but we were super lucky there wasn't a drop inside. What an absolute throwback. If only washing it was that easy. Blockout blinds and fly screens all installed and working very well. I also got all 4 stabiliser legs in place. These things are definitely a must-have. So here's the main loom laid out. So this starts at the drawbar, so it'll roughly be cut off here and terminated for the vehicle side. So it runs down the drawbar. So the main aim was just to get all the external lights wired for registration. So we've got that run through the floor, and all the clearance lights, rear tail lights wired. We've also got the electric brakes wired there with a breakaway just for safety, and we've got it all wired up to the 7-pin on the front here. On goes the handbrake. Just routing these wheels out, and the most commonly said thing is the wheels are way too small. Yes, I'm getting bigger ones. I'm actually going to upgrade the axle too later on, so that's coming. So we've got the jockey wheel loosely here. It's not even touching the ground anymore. And I've got the Caravan leveled up. Now, this is one thing I've been checking a lot, but I haven't checked it since I did the cladding and all that. 100 kilos we are on there on the ball weight, which is really, really good. Here it is. Let's go get it weighed. So here we are, pulled up on the weigh bridge. We're about to unhook. I want you guys to pause the video and comment what you think this thing's going to weigh. I guessed about 1,000 kilos. So the first maiden voyage, this thing towed really well. So it's been about 3 weeks here. So the new VIN come in about 3 days time, 3 working days. That was really quick, super easy. I just had to fill out all the ADRs as to why this thing is compliant and meets everything. So I did all that, took 3 working days to get back. I've stamped it in, I've done a new compliance plate, everything's ready as they instructed. So head over to part 5 if you want to see more in depth of why this thing took so long to get registered and on the road. But here it is, fully registered and road legal now and insured, and it's really good to have this thing on the road finally. I just cannot believe it's the same van. So today's video is mainly just a compilation of all of the build videos of this van. So if you guys want to see anything in depth, definitely go check out all the individual videos. But this is from start to complete finish. So it did take about a year to build this thing. It was a lot of work, I will put it that way. There was a lot of stuff involved in every little process, and we've skimmed right over the top of it today. So if you want to see more, yeah, go check those out. But this thing has turned out way better than I could ever have imagined. So it's going to be a little bit echo in here, but pretty much this was just a full wrap up of how we've gotten to this point. Now the interior is going to be a completely another couple of little separate videos to do. So as you can imagine, that's going to take a lot of work. The outside, in hindsight, was really the easy part, building this thing. So obviously we went to steel frame and everything just for the ease of it all. Timber just wasn't worth keeping any of that stuff. It was just all so rotten. So we're going to have to insulate it, we're going to have to wire it, we're going to have to build cabinetry, we're going to have to build, I'm going to have to do flooring, we're going to have to build like an ensuite and everything for it in here. So that's going to be a heap of fun, but stay tuned for that. It's not going to be straight up. I can't do that just yet because I don't really know what I'm doing with that stuff, so I'm going to have to look into it all, but that definitely is coming. I'm not just going to leave this thing high and dry. I want to be able to use it, so we can still use it at the moment, but the actual use video I thought was going to be a bit sooner, but something else has sort of happened, so stay tuned for that video because I'm going to sort of wrap up what's happened this year. I'm getting off track. I've got a lot of stuff planned for next year, super exciting stuff, but this has been a ton of work. And if you guys have enjoyed any part of this series, leave a comment, leave a like, smash the subscribe button because I'd really appreciate it. I've put tens of thousands of hours into this thing, editing wise, all the videos. It just takes so much time out of my day. I love doing it and love getting rewarded by comments and things from you guys saying, hey, I'm going to do the same thing. It is so cool to see out there that other people are like-minded. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, leave something down below. Got any questions, leave that below. You want to see anything more in more depth, see all the smaller videos in the playlist. Otherwise, hit the subscribe button, notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. I'll see you in the next one.